Hey everybody, it's Bandor, and I am starting up a stream here, but yeah, sorry. I'm starting up a stream to do basically what I just did in a video a few minutes ago. I did like a short 19-minute video on how to use, let me put this on the screen so you can see it, um, on how to use Substance Painter to create your AOs, not to create your AOs, to create your PBR materials or your Blinn Phong materials, whichever one you want, for an object where you don't actually have that object, where you bought maybe a prefab off of Marketplace, and they don't provide you with the DAE file. They just give you the actual model to use in Second Life, and then they give you maybe some textures for it, but they also provide you with the AOs. And it can be any kind of object. It can be furniture, it can be clothing, it can be a house, it can be anything at all, as long as they provide you with the AOs, which are ambient occlusions maps or shadow maps, which show the shading and the highlighting on the surface, naturally occurring lighting. And so those models, for Substance Painter, you have to have a 3D model. And so what you do is you would have the 3D model of the bed or the couch or the clothing or whatever, and you would take it in Substance Painter, and that's what you would normally do. So as a builder, I create something in Blender, I make a piece of furniture, I make a clothing outfit, whatever. I bring it into Substance Painter, and then I can paint on it, and I can texture it, and I can do all that stuff and export it and bring it into Second Life. And you get really, really good looking textures and materials, and it's a very simple and easy to use workflow. But when you don't have the physical model to work with, typically you can't use Substance Painter. So you have to use other methods of doing it, which included using Photoshop and the AO file and combining it through a multiply layer mask with whatever 2D texture that you wanted to apply. And then you have to do that, and it's a lot of work, and it's very cumbersome and time-consuming process to generate a lot of different textures using that methodology. So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a way you can do it and trick Substance Painter. Now you won't be able to get a lot of some of the really cool effects out of Substance Painter, where it detects the edges or the shape of your object and can respond to that. But other than that, you get basically everything that you want out of Substance Painter. So I'm going to go over how to do that and how to make sure that it's working. And I can't. We're doing this as a live stream, so I can't really pause. So I will apologize in advance if something somewhat inappropriate appears on the screen as we're bopping around through my menus and stuff on my system. So in fact, I have Second Life open right now, and I've gone back to I'm going to set my comms to be unavailable and close out all these windows and close out a bunch of windows. I should have been more prepared for this, but I wasn't. So, okay, so we're going to be here at our build platform, and what I want you to look at is this bed right here. I got this bed yesterday off of Marketplace. It's from a company called Byron Creative. The video I did yesterday was on this bed, which I also got from the same vendor on Marketplace. So they make full perm items. They also make some not full perm items, but they make full perm items. So this is the full perm item that we're going to work on today. It's called King. I don't know what it's called. It's called a bed. It's called the King Bed Full Perm. Okay. So I'm not going to go to Marketplace and show you where that is. I figure you know how to use Marketplace and buy stuff, so you don't need my help with that. So what we will do though is look in the directory. So let's go over into our inventory, and scroll, this is the other bed. So the bed we have is this one. So this is what the bed came with. So I have the textured version, which this is the textured version, but there's also an AO version. So I'm going to res the AO version out. And we'll take a look at that once it reses. There it is. So this is the version with the AOs applied. And AO stands for ambient occlusion, and it is a type of texture map that shows the shading and highlighting that naturally occurring lighting occurs on a surface so that it's not flat. So I'll show you the difference between having the AOs on and not having the AOs. So if I select this and I go to textures and I go to Blinn Phong, click on that and set it to blank, then there will be no AO applied. Now, based on the lighting and everything that we've got going on in here, you don't really see a huge difference, but that's because I have naturally occurring ambient occlusion in Second Life turned on. So if I go to my graphics settings and I turn off ambient occlusion, you'll see that it looks different. If I turn off screen space reflections, and turn off mirrors, okay, now it starts looking a lot different. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. There we go. So now you can see there are huge differences. I'm still getting a good amount of AO just naturally. So let me drop my video down to maybe high. Let's see what it looks like. Wait a minute. It still looks decent. I'm still getting AO, which is weird. Yeah, okay, you got less now. So the AO occurs where two surfaces meet. And so like on this quilted blanket, comforter, there's these stitched lines, right? And so that causes AO to appear here. So you get some shading in there, you get some shading down in here. You get shading where these two surfaces meet. You get shading where these two surfaces meet. You get shading at the edge of things, so like at the side of the pillow, you get some shading here. You get shading where the two pillows meet right there. That's called this. That's just your ambient occlusion shading, and it's just normal to get all that. So I'm going to go back and set this back up to high. Set my sculpts back up, okay, and then turn the screen space reflection back on. Turn mirrors back on. And, okay, so now my graphics are back the way they're supposed to be. Anyway, so that's what the AO files give you. Now, AOs are 2D textures. They're not PBR, but yeah, the video that I did yesterday shows you how to convert an AO into a PBR AO so that you can then work on it by just manipulating the base color inside of Second Life without having to use Photoshop or any other tool to texture things. And that's what we got going on over here on this bed. I have AO textures on here. So you notice in Blinn Phong, there's no I'm not using the AO, but in PBR I have these materials that are blank. They have no base color, and then I just apply a base color texture. And so that's how I got this. I have a different base texture, base color on there. I have a texture in there. This one doesn't have any base color texture, but I applied a color to it. And so I'm able to sit there and manipulate these and change. Just by changing these values, I get different materials output using that PBR AO, and it preserves the AO, the ambient occlusion, so I get the shading and the highlighting, and it doesn't look flat. That was yesterday's video. Today we're going to do something different. We're actually going to use Substance Painter to texture this thing without the model and using our AOs. So let's talk about that a little bit. So I did a video a few minutes ago, and in that video I use, you have to have some kind of model for Substance Painter to work. So I created a very simple square plane in Blender that I brought into Substance Painter, and then I just texture that, and it's like faking it out. Since it's a square plane, it's like a 2D image is square, so you just make a square plane, and then you can put the AOs on there, and then you can do whatever you want. So you can see I have the AO embedded in here. I can apply whatever different kinds of textures that I want or materials that I want on this surface just by dragging them on. And then I can scale them how I want, and they get the AO applied. And so when I export this, the AO is built in. It's hard to see because that's so dark. So if I put this kind of bamboo on here, which I don't know why you would have a bamboo blanket, but we have a bamboo blanket. You can see the AO is still there. Or if I wanted to do something like this abstract painted cloth. So this is actual cloth. You can see the fibers of the cloth. But since it's scaled so big, it would look bad. So I want to scale that down. Just drag this down until I get it so that it looks more like the actual cloth on a quilt that big, right? And then I export that. I can export it as Blinn Phong. I can export it as PBR, pull that into Second Life and texture this bed that way. And that's what I did in the video yesterday, was show you how to do that. But the point I made yesterday was, or not, yeah, I should. This video I did earlier today. So I only use one square. And then I was thinking about it when I got done. I thought, well, you know, I showed you how to do that with two different AOs on a single surface. And this surface is just called default material. It's a little hard for you to manage. What if you have something that has like this bed has like 19, 15 different parts and each one has an AO? That would be 15 different AOs. I would have to go in and change it. You know, I couldn't work on them all at the same time. I only work on them one part by one part at a time. And sometimes you want to work on multiple parts. So if you have the same, I want to have the same leather texture on 5 different parts. I don't want to have to go do one part and then do the other part and then do the other part and then do the other part. It would be nice if I could do them all at one time, because there's a thing called instantiate across materials in Substance Painter, which lets you put one material on one part and then apply that same material to a bunch of other parts. So I could take advantage of that if I had multiple parts in here. But again, I don't have the object. So what can I do? Well, instead of just using one plane, you can use one plane for each part, name them appropriately. And so in Substance Painter, what you'll see is a bunch of different squares, and then you put a different AO on each square. And now it's like you've got you don't have the model of the bed, but you've basically created one surface for each of the surfaces on the bed, and you can work on it as if it were the bed. And so I don't know if that's confusing. You don't understand what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you. So we're going to do it. I'm not going to use it on the bed I had yesterday. I'm going to use it on this new bed. And so I need to find out, I need to get the AOs out of here, and we can figure out what the AOs are. So, all right. So these are the textures that came with the object in this folder, and it has both textures and AOs. And I have 2 copies of this folder. So I have this one here and I have this one here. I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to remove everything but the AOs in this one because I don't need them, because I have them in the other folder. And that way I don't have to stare at them. And I don't have to work around them either. Okay, so I think texture. And then delete. Okay. My trash is overflowing. All right. So now I just have AOs left. So what I want to do is take these AOs and I'm going to export them to my computer. And we're going to use save to, and this is in this, I had a folder called Lux Heaven, but that's not the one I want. I want to use, created one called Velvet something or other. Velvet Dreams, I think is what I'm naming this bed. So if I look down in here, I should have Velvet Dreams. I may have already saved these. If I have, I'm not going to save them again. Velvet Dreams. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure I did. I'll check. This is the browser. Let me check it. Let's see. Velvet Dreams, where are you? Yeah. Oh, they are there. Okay. So I did this yesterday. I was experimenting around and I created these ORMs. The ORMs helped me create the PBR AO. So we're not gonna use those. Okay. So that make sure I've already downloaded them. Make sure I have around all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I do have all of them. And they look like they're the right color. The ones for the other bed that I was working on, these were kind of brown as opposed to gray. And so I had to take them into Photoshop and reduce the saturation on them to turn them into gray, which I don't think I'm going to have to do for these. Okay, so I don't know how to do this in GIMP. I don't know how to do this in any other program. I only know Photoshop, so we're going to do it in Photoshop. So here's Photoshop. We are going to do File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. This is so that I can load multiple images and have them put one image per layer, which is what I want. Again, that's not where we're at. We're down in Velvet Dreams. What happened? There it is, Velvet Dreams. And we're going to just select all of the AOs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And it's going to bring those into, oops, I don't need to browse. It's going to bring all 11 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, into Photoshop, putting one image per layer into a new file. So it created a new file. Now it's importing them in and setting them. Oh, I don't need to do this step, by the way. I'm only doing this in case I need to change the hue on these. So that's what I forgot. Why am I going into Photoshop? So yeah, I did this earlier. So notice if I wanted to change the hue on it, because like say these were brown or they had some color on it and I don't want the color, for AOs need to be grayscale. So you just come in here and you tell it, you select the layer and you hit Control U, which brings up the hue and saturation panel, and then drag saturation down. You notice nothing changed because it already is grayscale. You just drag saturation to 0 and hit OK. And then you repeat that for each one of these. You export that and you export it as a PNG and just export it back on top of the original file. Replace the original file with the new version of it, and then you're done. So I'm showing this step in case you ever need to do that, because I did it this morning and people were asking me, how did you do that? So this is how you would have done that. The end result is you end up with grayscale images instead of colored images. There's other ways to do that too. That's the fast and easy way to do it. Okay, so now let's go to Substance Painter. All right, so here we are in Substance Painter. Oh, sorry, no, we're not going to go to Substance Painter. We're going to go to Blender. What's the name of this program? This program is called, I was building a house, by the way. Let me save that. Save as. Somebody said, can you show me how to build a house? So that's what I was doing. Okay. So this is Blender 4.4.0, which came out yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So File, New, General. That gives us a new blank canvas here to work with. Now, what I want to do is the same thing I did before. I'm going to create a simple plane, but I'm going to create that plane for each part of my bed. And if we go back over here to SL and we look at this and we collect edit link, we don't do, it's not faces, it's actual linked parts. So these are all different linked parts. So that's a part, 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 that's a part. And so I want to create parts. Oh, well, no, let me think about that. I can't do it based on parts. I have to do it based on faces, even though some of these faces may be on the same part. So basically what I want is one object for each material that would get applied. And so there would be a material for each face, not for each part. So there would be a material for this face, a material for the little button faces in there, which I can't quite click on. A button for those two pillows in the back, a button for that, a button for that. Then so this quilt has three. There's an inside, there's the edge, and then there's the top. Okay. So that's the answer. So we need, for every AO that we need to work with, we need one surface to put that AO on to work with it. So we have 11 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to go back to Blender. We're going to create 11 squares. And so I'm just going to create plane. So you go to Control A to add, and then mesh, and then select plane. And then I'm just going to make that like 2 meters by 2 meters is the default, and that's fine. And then I want to, I don't think you need to do this because I don't think it's going to read any of this. It's not going to use any of it because this is flat and it's just a square. But you might want to subdivide this. So I'm going to go ahead and subdivide it, and it's not going to hurt. And it may actually help make things look a little more detailed. I'm not sure. I haven't experimented with it to see. Part of my brain is saying it's not going to make any difference. You're wasting your time. The other part of my brain is, well, it could add more detail to the geometry, which Substance Painter may take advantage of to create better looking images. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. But to do that, just select the plane. We're going to hit the tab to go to edit mode. Then you're going to hit 3 for face. Select the face, and then we're going to subdivide. That creates 4 out of 1. Then we hit subdivide again. Now we have 16. Go ahead and subdivide it a couple more times. There we go. That gives me a bunch of geometry just in case it is going to use it. I doubt it, but maybe. Now hit Control A to apply. Select all transforms, then right click it. Go to set origin to geometry. Get used to doing that 1,000 times a day. All right, so we have this object, and I want to have 11 of these. So I could just duplicate this 11 times, or I could actually go to use like a mirror modifier and mirror it with 11 instances. Then I would have to separate those and split them apart, but it's unnecessary. Before I do this, I want to UV map it. So let's go ahead and go up to UV editing. And then we're going to make sure X-ray is turned on so we see everything. And select the whole thing. Then this is our UV map over here. And we can just, it looks right to me, but just to make sure, go ahead and hit unwrap. Yep, and there it is. So that's our UV map. Now, I would apply a material, but I'm going to wait until we've duplicated this to apply my material. So to duplicate this, just hit Shift D for duplicate, and then we're going to duplicate it on the Y-axis. So I hit Y to restrict it to just the Y-axis, and then just drag over. And I want to give it some space between there so that they're not too close together, because I don't want ambient occlusion appearing between the two of them, and I don't want them to cast shadows on each other or anything like that. So I'm going to actually space them out 2 squares here. Okay, and now we need 11 of these, so let's go ahead and select both of those, and we'll do that again. Shift D on the Y-axis, and then we'll space it out like so. And it doesn't have to be exact, we're just estimating it. So that's 4. I need 7 more, so let's do 2 more. And I'm going to go the other way this time. Oh, I got all 4 of them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 3 more. Actually, I don't want it to keep growing wider because it's hard to look at on the screen. So let's do it like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get rid of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5, an odd number. Delete this. So that way it's centered. So I have the middle one, 1, 2 on each side. That's 5. And I still need 6 more. So we're going to take all of these. We will Shift D for duplicate on the x-axis and pull it down so that it's about there, like that. Now that's 10. I need one more, so I'll grab the one in the middle, Shift D, the x-axis, and drop it there. All right, so now I have 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. That's all of the ones I need. Now we're going to put materials on these. And so I need 11 materials. And because in Substance Painter, you work on what are called texture sets. And there's one texture set for each material on your object. It doesn't go by part names, it goes by material names. And so I need to have 11 materials, one for each part, and I want to name them to match the AOs that I have. So I kind of need to get a list of my AOs. I'm actually going to pull that over to another window where you guys can't see it, but I can. So I can name those. It's right here. Okay, moved it out of the way. So we'll go down to the material tab. I'm just going to add 11 materials. So it already has one called material. I'm going to add 10 more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uh-oh. I may have broke Blender. I did that too fast. Blender's going, what are you doing to me? Why are you doing that? Why? Wow. Something not to attempt. There we go. Now let's see. It only did one. All that effort for just to create one. Okay. So let's go ahead and name this. Oh, I have to hit new. Sorry. Hit new. And there we go. Material 1. This is material 2. So I have 2 materials. Go ahead and hit 3, 4, 5. I don't know what it froze for, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then if we scroll up, go ahead and hit new here to assign. So that creates a slot for a material, and then this is actually to create the material that I want in that slot. So I can use the ones that I already have selected, or I can name new ones. So go ahead and hit new. Go to the next one, new, next one, new, next one, new, 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 new. That gives me 10. I need 11, so one more and new. Okay, so there you go. I have materials 1 through 11. I can leave the names like that, and then in Substance Painter they would come up as material 1 through 11. But I can go ahead and make myself have an easier time and just rename them. So you pick the one you want and just click in here. And we're going to call this one Quilt Edge. And then this one we're going to call Buttons. This one is going to be called, they call it Chester, but I don't want to call it Chester. It's called, okay, I'll just call it Chester. I don't want to confuse myself by having to figure out, what is the name of that thing? Hear my dog barking in the background, I'm sorry. Footer. This is lower cushions. Lower cushions. This one is called Pillow Back. Next one is called Pillow Middle. Next one we're going to call Quilt. Quilt. Which I guess is both the upper and the outer quilt, I guess. There's things in here, I don't know what they are. That's called the quilt edge. This is just called quilt. Next one's called sheets. Sheets. The next material will be called small pillow. And then this is the one I don't know what it is. It is called, it says small quilt and edge AO. Small quilt and edge AO. Well, I don't know what that is on the bed, so maybe we'll have to go look it up. Small quilt and edge. Okay, so now I have each of these parts has a material on it and it's named for that. Now, if I want to be very, I could go up and name all the parts, but I don't need to. If I was bringing it into Second Life this way, then maybe I would, but I'm not going to do that. But I do want to go figure out what this small quilt and edge is. Let's go back over to Second Life. And let's go through these slowly and see what they are. So select face, click on a part, and then if you go to Blinn Phong, it has a material applied. If you click on that, it'll tell you what part, what texture you have. So this is quilt. This is, oh, it's called big edge. There's a big edge and a small edge. Okay. Where's small edge? This one is sheet. This is lower cushions. This is footer. This is Chester. Aha. This is small quilt. Why is that called small quilt and edge? It's the side of the headboard and the back of the headboard is Chester. It's the side of the headboard. Why is there's no small quilt? It's just a side of the headboard. Okay, but I'm seeing something. I don't know if you see the same thing. When I look at this material called King Chester, oh, that's Chester. That's King Chester. It's not the edge anymore. It's showing this is Chester. Okay, so that's not the side. So where the heck is the side? I don't know where this small quilt and edge is used at. I really don't. I thought that was here, but it's not. Is it that? Nope. That uses King Chester. This uses King Chester. So there's multiple faces using this, but they use different parts of it, which I hate that. This uses the same thing. It's just mirror. Yes, this is just a mirror image of that one, which you can do. No problem. Do you see a small quilt on this thing anywhere? I don't. This uses the big edge. This is the quilt. Maybe there was something that he'd intended to use and he's not using that, but it seems like that's not being used. So I don't think we need to worry about this small quilt. I know on this other bed there was a second quilt over here, but I don't know why that's there. I can ask him. Anyway, well, that answered that question. So I don't think we really need, I don't think we need this 11th one, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it in here. All right, so we've got all of our materials applied, and we've got our objects built. So now it's time to export this. So we're going to select them all. Just do like a group select. Then we're going to go to File, Export, Collada, Operator Presets up here, and go ahead and select SL OpenSim Static. And then we're going to name this to be King Bed Dummy Object. And it's in my C Documents folder. Okay. Now we go to Substance Painter. And I'm going to do File New to start a new project. I'm going to select for my template I'm not doing anything transparent, so I don't use, I have one that I use if I'm doing something with opacity on, where you want transparent, but I don't need it for this one. So we're going to use ASM PBR Metallic Roughness Starter Assets as our template. Select the file that I just created, which is right there. Set this to 2048, OpenGL, and OK. Discard the one that we were working on, and there it is. Rotate my view like so. Now we're going to go over to our display settings. We're going to select a environment map. We're going to select two-sided panorama. I've explained that 18 billion times why we do that. And then we go up to mode, bake mesh mode, and we're going to select 2048 for the output. We're going to apply a diffusion. Oh, I know one thing we could have done in Photoshop. We could have changed the image size. I probably should do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I want to go back to my Photoshop and change the image size. This is 1024, I think. Image adjustment, image size. Where's image size? So it's a good thing I came in here. So we're going to change this to 2048. Now it's going to process that, and it does a pretty good job of scaling it up. And then we're going to have it like that. So now these are all 2048 images instead of 1024. That way it doesn't have to, we don't have to worry about the size of them. It's all going to match. But to do that, I need to export these. So we'll pick the first one and just hit F3, which I have set up to key map to my. Remember I said about inappropriate content? So there. Go to pictures, debauchery, velvet. Velvet, whatever it's called. Velvet. Dreams, and then we're going to do that to the king thing. So this was the one we're doing is the big edge, so we select big edge and hit save. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite, and I say yep, I do. And just do that for all of these. So F3, this one, save, yes. F3, save, yes. F3, footer, save, yes. Lower cushions, F3, lower cushion, save, yes. Then this is called pillow back, so we're going to do F3, pillow back, save, yes. Pillow mid, mid. Ah, crap. You see what I did? I put the same one on every one of them, so we got it. Oh, we don't want to do that. We got to turn the visibility off on this because otherwise you're just copying the same one over and over again. So turn the visibility off on that one. Okay, let's go back and do buttons. Turn the visibility off. Go to the next one. Chester. Save. Yes. Turn the visibility off. Save. Footer. Yes. Overwrite. Turn the visibility off. Lower cushion. Save. Yes. See, if you make a mistake, there's always a way out of it. Turn the visibility off. Now we're going to pull back. F3. Pull back. Save. Yes. Ooh, that's a really badly done AO, by the way. Mine would never look like that. Oh, this is called pillow mid. This is quilt AO. Okay, king sheet. The worst part of 3D modeling is the creation of UV maps, which is what drives the AOs here. These are all based on the UV maps. I hate UV unmapping. It's gotten so much better now. This is small pillars. It's a lot easier, but it's still not good. Hopefully AI will help us with that. King, small, quilt, and edge. Yeah, that's some kind of little blanket that's not here. I don't know where it's. Maybe there's another model in there that has it included. Like maybe he might have provided 2 different versions of the bed. Small quilt. Save. Yes. Okay, so now all of our AOs are 2048 by 2048 in size. So we can go back to Substance Painter now. Yay. Okay. So did I bake this? I don't think I baked this yet because it looks like it hasn't been baked. Here we go. Now it's baking the mesh maps, which it will produce from the model. It produces all of the different mesh maps, and including like the curvature and the thickness, which are used to derive like the edge of a surface. So some of the things in Substance Painter let you do things at the edges, so that's why it's like that. So okay, go back to return to painting mode, and then what we're going to do now, this is the fun part. So each one of these, oh, okay, I made another mistake. So you notice we only see buttons and quilt edge here. Where are all the other materials? It's because I didn't apply them. So we go back to our Blender. We have our list of materials here, but I didn't apply them. So I have to pick this one and pick which material I want. So this is called Big Edge. So where's that Big Edge? Big Edge quilt. Oh, it's called Quilt Edge. I didn't call it Big Edge. I called it Quilt Edge. Now this one's going to be called. Let me see. That's going to create confusion. So I'm going to call it Big Edge. Big Edge Quilt, I think, is exactly how they spell it in there. I don't want to get confused, and I get confused easily. So, all right. So that's called Big Edge Quilt. The next one is buttons. So we have to pick the one we want, which is buttons. Then we have Chester. Just going to go down the line. Footer. Lower cushions. I don't need the materials. This one. So pillow back. Pillow mid. Quilt. Sheets. Small pillow. Then the last one is small quilt and edge. Like so. Okay, and then just check them, make sure they're all right. This one has all of them. It doesn't need all of these. Weird. Okay, so that has small quilt and edge, small pillow, sheets, quilt, pillow mid, pillow back, cushions, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so those look right now. Now we select them all again, and we export it again. Export Collada. Remembered the name. That's all set up correctly. Hit export. Now, the easy thing is in Substance Painter, I can re-import that just by going up to Edit, Re-import Mesh. And then you don't have to change any settings. It looks the same, but it's really not, because now we have all of the different materials listed over here. But I have to bake again. So go back up to Bake Mode, Bake Mesh Maps, and everything should be set up properly. Oh, I wanted to set up this, show you this, okay, which I didn't do. So that's where I made a mistake earlier, is I forgot where I was. So under Baking Mesh Maps, you go up to this Common Settings area, set it to 24. You can click on Apply Diffusion. Make sure you click this. Use Low Poly Mesh for High Poly Mesh, and then go to Ambient Occlusion. Change Secondary Rays to 256, Curvature Secondary Rays to 256, and Thickness Secondary Rays to 256. Those don't really help because we're only a square, but I always do that. So now you hit your bake. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's got to do 11 of them. And it's processing and processing and processing and processing and processing. And processing and processing and processing. So it's generating all those different mesh maps for all of these different parts. And so that's why Substance Painter looks so good, is it creates all this for us and it allows us to work with them very easily. And then when you export, you get all of the things that you need all at one time without having to worry about it, as I'm filling time by rambling on and on. So I'm not going to be able to go through this. I have real life is interfering with Second Life as usual. So I'm going to have to run here in a few minutes to go do something. But I could always come back and finish this later. But I want to get it to a point where you understand, if you watch the other video, actually, you should be able to follow along. If you watch the other video, you'll know what to do. But I'm going to try to get it done. Okay, so we are finished baking our mesh maps. So we go back into this mode. Now comes the fun part. So I want to import my AOs. So let's go up to File, Import Resources, and then we're going to say Add Resources. And I want them from, is Velvet over here yet? Nope. It will show up there sooner or later, my frequently used areas. So, pictures, debauchery, Velvet, where are you? What am I doing? There it is. Velvet went way too far. Velvet Dreams. Okay. Select the AOs and only the AOs. Now these are all 2048 AOs, so it's going to work perfectly with our 2048 in Substance Painter. And then just open. Now it's going to try to import them here, and it doesn't know what they are, so you have to tell it that they're a texture. So you have to go that for all 11, you have to change it to texture one by one. I don't like this interface. I wish they gave you like check boxes and then a drop down where you could say check, check, and then hit change it to texture, and it did them all at once, but it doesn't. So you do them one by one. Okay, and then it asks you, where do you want to save these when you import it to? You want to put it in, you have three choices. The current session, so if I close the browser, it's going to go away. Library is, it puts it in here, and in the future, anytime I want these, they'll be available to me, but I'm never going to need them again, so I don't need that. And the third option is the project, and that's where I want to save them, because I'm going to save this file. They'll be in that file when I save it, so the next time I open this up, they'll be there, and I don't need them for any other project, so we're going to save them to the project. So import. Some files are still designated as undefined. Are they? Yes, they are. Okay, import. And here they come, and there they are. Now they show up down here in my asset browser because it has applied this filter of imported resources. If I want to see all my other assets, I have to get rid of that filter, and then this will disappear. To find it again, just go to the Textures tab over here and then look for them, and they will be in there. And it named them King something. So if you that's how you would find them. Just go to Textures and scroll down till you get to the Ks, and you'll see them there. But we're going to go ahead and use these really quickly. So I want to go to my texture set list over here. And then I'm just going to go down to the first one here, which is the big edge, which is that one. These are in the same order. And then you should be able to go to texture set settings. Just see where it says ambient occlusion. You're going to drop that ambient occlusion in there. Boom. And I'm hoping that only applied it to the one. That was the whole point of this exercise, is that I did this video before and I applied this and it applied it to everything, but I only had one material. So now I have multiple materials, and so there should be one AO per material. So now if I go to buttons, there it is. It showed up over here and it didn't show up over here. So now this AO is now applied in there. So it thinks it's the model with that thing. So it looks like that. All right, so then we go to the buttons and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to drag, yay, it works. Drag this AO into there. Go back, go to Chester, texture set settings, drag Chester into ambient occlusion. Just keep doing this one by one until we have all 11 of them applied. And then lower cushions, pillow back. They should be the same order, but I'm just checking them to make sure. Pillow mid. Because sometimes I make mistakes. Quilt is this one. sheets. This one. Small pillow is this one. And if I had normals for these, I could actually put the normals in here too, but I don't have normals. So, but if I did, I could drag them in there too. Small pillow, the last one is small quilt. Quilt edge didn't work. Why didn't quilt? Oh, I have that one. I think this is what it was called before. That's why it's still there. Because I did the re-import mesh, it remembers that there was something from the first model that I had. Okay, so small quilt and edge is this last one. So we're going to go to there, drag it into ambient occlusion, and it is done. Okay, now, why don't I see it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So now I can see them. I have 11 different parts with 11 different AOs, and we're ready to go. So the first thing I want to do now is save this, and I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to name it for the thing that I'm working on, which in my case is going to be called the Velvet Dreams Bed. All right, so I have it now saved, and the name is going to be changed to Velvet Dreams Bed. So when I export, everything will export as Velvet Dreams Bed. Okay, so this was all set up. And so you would have to do this for your model. And for each model that you have only AOs for it, you would go through this process. You would create the number of your squares based on the parts that you have or based on the AOs that you have, one for each AO. Then you would make your AOs, if you're doing 2048, make your AO 2048 by 2048. And then come into here, bring your model in, bake your mesh maps, import your AOs, and then go through one by one, changing the AO in the texture set settings for that material to be your AO as opposed to the AO for the square. And then save your file. Once you've done that, you can come back to this thing anytime you want to work on it. And so that's the setup work is now done. It's ready to be used to mass produce your textures. And so how do we do that? Well, we close this and we're going to apply some materials. Let's say I want to go work on my footer. So I'm going to go to my footer here, which is this one. And I'm going to make it gold. So I just drag gold on my footer. So now footer's selected here. I look at my layers. There's my gold. Oops, don't pull that. Pull this. And that gold is a smart material. It's got all these different things in there. And so that's how it looks. That's a smart material. What if I don't want a smart material? I can turn off the visibility, or I can just delete that. And I can put on some other ones. So let's go into just regular materials. And then let's look for wood. I want to do a wood grain. So I want to put, what did I do? Oh, it crashed on me. Darn it. That's what happened. Substance Painter crashed. Which Substance Painter tends to do. All right. But the good thing is I saved it first. So now all we have to do is open the file that I just saved. So we'll go to open recent and Dreams Bed. There it is. Okay, so we're in regular materials and I want to search for wood. Let's scroll down. I like this. That's kind of nice looking. So it's reloading all of my thumbnails. That's going to take a while. Let's go ahead and use this beech honey wood. We'll put that on here. Okay, so that is applied. And there it is. It looks kind of weird to you because the way this is, but the only part you care about is the part that's not the background. The background's never going to show up, right? Right, so I have my wood applied. Let's go ahead and put some leather on all of the leather parts of this bed, which would be the chester and the buttons, right? So I want to get a leather. So I'm going to pick leather out of here. And again, it's having to reload all my thumbnails, so it's going to take it 10 or 15 minutes to get all these. But let's go ahead and pick one. So I will use this kind of goat leather. I'm going to put it on the buttons. And the scale on these is different, so I don't want to instantiate it, because instantiate is only if you want to keep the scale the same or keep all the parameters the same, and put it on multiple parts, and then when you adjust any of the parameters, it adjusts on all the parts. Well, the scale of these things to these things are so radically different that wouldn't really work, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to do them separately, and then probably need to, I don't know, maybe it's all right. I think this scale is too big, so I'm going to scroll this down to maybe, let's do 2, see what 2 looks like. I think that's still too bumpy. It's hard to tell because this is so small and I can't see it on the actual object itself. But if you think about where those dots are, those dots represent where these buttons are. So if those are the buttons, then how grainy do I want it to be between those buttons? I don't think I want it to be that gray. It looks like the surface of the moon or something, right? So let's maybe go to 4, see how it looks. Still think that might be a lot. Let's do 8. Okay, I'm going to keep it at 8 and see how it looks. It might be too much. Now, if I want to apply any kind of filters to this, I can. If I want to apply any kind of stuff like I want to put some dirt on this, and I want my dirt. I'm going to pick dirt, and I'm going to say, let me get something that's kind of a light colored dirt. Again, it's loading everything, so I can't tell. I could just use a color, but I'm going to go ahead and use a dark dirt. So just drag that on top. So that's what it looks like with the dirt. You don't see the leather anymore, right? So that's what my dirt's going to look like. But I want my dirt to be applied on top of the leather so that they kind of go together. So what I want to do on this is I'm going to add a black mask. And now when I paint, anything that is black or anything that's white is going to show through. But I'm not going to paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a generator. So I'm going to come into this, click add a generator. Then here on the generator, I'm going to click on it and pick the dirt generator. And so it looks kind of like that. And then I'm going to adjust how much dirt I want on here. How grungy I want it to be. It is kind of smart because the A's, see, this is one of the reasons why I like having the AO. Because the AO is there, notice that it's putting the dirt around those buttons more than it would otherwise, which is kind of cool. That's maximum dirt. This is no dirt. Kind of like that. That's kind of cool. So this is just to show you that you can use all of the tools that Substance Painter has available to you to get your texture looking the way you want it to look. Now, that's what it looks like without dirt. This is what it looks like with dirt. Okay. What about this part? Do I want that to have the same thing? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to instantiate too. So let's go back to our goat leather. Oh, I can see my leathers now. I don't like the goat leather. I'm getting rid of the goat leather. Instead, what I want to do is take something that's a little lighter leather to go with this honey, right? So I have something that goes with that honey. Yay, I can see. So with that honey, maybe this rough leather. Instead of dragging it on here, I'm going to drag it over here between those two layers now. Like so. Yeah, see the dirt's still applying to it. Okay. But I want to put this goat leather, or this rough leather. I also want to put it on this side over here. So what I will do is I'm going to instantiate that. So right click on the material in the layer, go to instantiate across texture sets, and then hit none to turn them all off, and then pick lower cushions, which is this one, and then hit OK. And now it applies that to this. Now, if I want the dirt to also be applied, I need to do the same thing. So come over here and do instantiate across sets, turn that off, and do lower cushions, and then hit OK. And there we go. Now I've got dirt on there. Okay. So, so basically that's what you do. And I'm not going to sit here and do all of them right now because, like I said, I have to go. But you could then put some fabric on some of these pillows, like fabric, like this Cartagena, and we're going to put that on the quilt. Which one is quilt? Quilt is that one. Okay, so I'm going to drag this and put it on quilt. And that's way too big, so I'm going to just take that down somewhere like that. And quilt edge is this one. So on this one, I want to put a color. Right? I just want to put a color. So what I'll do is I'll come up to, that was called big edge quilt. I will add a fill layer. And then on the fill layer, I'm going to go down here to base color, and I'm going to pick a color. And I'm hoping I can pick one of these colors out of here. I did, yay! That's not the one I wanted though. Let's pick a different color out of there. Yay, okay. And so I've applied that color to the edge of the quilt. All right, so you just keep doing this for all the other parts of this. I don't know. You want me to do that? I'm in a hurry, I gotta go. All right, so you get the idea, right? So you just play with these different textures the way you want them. Then when you're ready to export them, you just go to your export, and I have that mapped to F3. And then you're going to pick the output template. You're going to pick GLTF PBR metal roughness. And then the ones we haven't done yet, maybe I don't want to export. So like I didn't do the small. I didn't do, did I do the small pillow? No. Did the quilt edge. Yeah, okay. I did quilt. Did not do the sheets. I did not do the small pillow. I didn't do the middle pillows. I did the lower cushion and all the ones above that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then hit export. And it's going to export all the things for the PBR materials. And then just cancel out of that. I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to pick my Second Life exporter. And I'm going to export it for Second Life. Okay. Now we go back to Second Life. I'm going to do build, upload bulk. And I'm going to go to my export folder, which is here. Let's go down to Velvet Dreams. Should have cleaned this folder out before I started. Put them. Oh, it didn't put them by Velvet Dreams. It put them by the name of the material. Okay. So big edge, right? So I got the big edge. I've got the buttons. I've got Chester, footer, lower cushions. I'm selecting the diffuse, the normal, and the specular for each one. Quilt. Okay, that's it. And hit open. It says you got 18 things to upload. I think that's all of them. I hope I got all of them. And I'm uploading those. So now those Blinn Phong materials are coming in. Takes a little while for them to load. And then once they finish, I'm going to load the materials. Need to find a better way to kill time while I'm doing a live stream. And it's still loading, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, It's on the fourth one. I think I did 6. I could start texturing it with these as we're waiting for them to come in, but I find if you start doing that, it fails to upload a lot. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to wait patiently for it to finish. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Is that it? Is that it? Is that it? It looks like that's it. Okay. So now we go ahead and start doing it. I'm going to select the face of this quilt. I'm going to go to Blinn Phong textures, and I'm going to apply these on top of you. So we're going to do quilt. Goes to the diffuse. Normal goes to there. Specular goes there. And then lower cushion is on the side. It's this one here. Diffuse. Normal. Specular. Footer is here, and we're going to go diffuse, normal, specular. Next one is Chester, which is this. Chester, diffuse, normal, specular, and then I think it's the sides too. So we're going to do, again, diffuse, normal, specular, and we also have to do the 2 on the other side. So at least this one, Chester, diffuse, normal, specular. Aha, also over here. Lower cushion, diffuse, normal. So they just mirrored it, and that's why it still works. And footer. They mirrored the footer too. I didn't realize that. Footer, normal, specular. Okay, so there is the quilt. I also have the inside of the quilt, which I could do a different material. I could have put a different one on here just for the inside, but it uses the exact same AO, so I would have to do 2 different textures for that. So we're going ahead and go back and quilt. Normal. Specular. And then this is called the edge, which I think is this edge down here. So we're going to do like that. Normal. Specular. And if I had done the pillows and the sheets, we would do them too, but I didn't do them. So there you go. Oh, I didn't do buttons. Do I have buttons? Yes, I have the buttons. Select face, buttons, and then put the buttons in there. Like so. Okay. And there you have it. It actually has a normal. It generated a normal for me, and it did it on here too. And if you don't like the normal and you don't like that bumpiness on there, you don't want it on there, you can turn it off. So you can just go to select face on both of those. If you want it to look smoother than that, just turn that to none or blank. Blank is fine. See, now it looks smooth. Sometimes the normal just doesn't look good. Select face on that. Select face on that and that. That. And I'm going to set the to blank. So it's smoother looking. That's really what I wanted to get. Something like that. I like this bumpiness on this. I didn't really want it on that. Okay. Oops, got to do it here too. Man, they got this stuff everywhere. Or is that the other edge quilt maybe? Select face, this one. I'm not even going to bother putting it on there. Just do blank. Specular. And how about the top? Did it do the top too? Aha. I think this is, yep, this has got to be quilt. I mean, Chester. Chester diffuse. Ah! Not the Spectre. Okay, Chester diffuse. Then I'm going to set that to blank and do specular here. Okay. Now it's applied. Just didn't do the sheets and pillows. Now, if I want to do the PBR, we're going to go back up and do build, upload, material. This is where I need to know the name Velvet Dreams. So you select Velvet Dreams, select the one on top, which is bigger. And you would do bulk upload all, but I don't have time to sit here and wait for that, so I'm just going to upload one. I'm going to do the quilt because I think that'll have the most impact. So we're going to upload the quilt, which is quilt. But you would select all of them, and it would upload all of them to your materials directory. But I'm only doing one. Hit save. Because I only did one, I have to click save. If you do bulk, you don't do that. They just show up. So now it's uploading the parts for that, which are these textures. So you get all the individual textures. You get the base color, you get the normal, you get the AO, you get whatever. And so this is another way to generate that. Like I showed you how to generate that ambient. Oh, this is great. So, okay. So the video I did earlier where I showed you how to create that PBR AO using Photoshop, you can do it with Substance Painter. You don't need Photoshop. You just do this whole same process that we just did. Don't apply any material on top of the AO and just export it, and you'll get the ORM. You'll get a material that has the PBR AO in it. So you can do that just within Substance Painter. You don't have to use Photoshop to do that, which is awesome. There's another edge there. What is that? See it? There's another surface there. I didn't even see that. What is this? Select that. That's weird. That is definitely blank, and I cannot seem to select it. So I have no idea what this is. There it is. And that's the small edge. Now we know what the small edge is for. So the small quilt end edge is for this part right here. All right. Nice to know. Okay. So it finished uploading our PBR material. Now you would have uploaded all of the materials. It would have taken 11 times as long, and you would have 11 materials sitting here. I only have the one. So I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to drag it on the surface where I want it to go. I want it to go here, and I want it to go here. There you have it. So now the bed has a Blinn Phong, has the underlying Blinn Phong material here. So people who cannot see PBR would see the Blinn Phong. It also has a PBR material, so people like me who can see PBR see that instead. And that's how you do it. So anyway, I have got to run to real life and take care of some problems that have popped up while I started this. And we will talk to you guys next time. So hit me up in world if you have any questions, or feel free to leave comments on this. This will be stored so you can come back and watch it anytime. You can share it and tell your friends all about it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Do all that stuff so that I get these things can get in front of as many people as possible. And anyway, we'll talk to you guys next time.